Hello, would you like to hear a story? Good. This one's called The Wanker Who Parked in the Parent and Child Space. Tarquin was a wanker, but he wasn't just any old wanker. He was a colossal, grade A, nuclear level wanker. Some even went as far as to say he was the biggest wanker in the land. But then again, he came from a long line of wankers. His father had been a wanker, and his grandfather a wanker before him. His great-grandfather was said to have been the biggest wanker in the entire kingdom of Queen Victoria. But Tarquin was the biggest wanker of them all. He drove a big red convertible BMW. It was his pride and joy. He drove that gas-guzzling penis extension up and down the town, changing lanes without indicating, steaming through red lights and whistling at ladies while throwing litter onto the street. There was no doubt to anyone who saw him that Tarquin was a weapons-grade bellwith. But just in case anyone was in any doubt, Tarquin had decorated his cuntmobile with a resplendent personalised number plate. Oh, what a wanker! One rainy day, Tarquin was driving down to his local supermarket to pick up his regular groceries. A ready meal for one and a party tub of Vaseline. There were hundreds of spaces in the car park and Tarquin could have parked his cockmobile in any one of them. He wasn't old, he wasn't infirm, and he didn't have any additional needs. He was just pure and simple a selfish fucknut of the highest order. And because of this, Tarquin didn't care for rules or social niceties. The only care in his tiny little world was to park as close to the supermarket front door as possible. So he drove his big red prick bucket diagonally into the final parent and child space and skipped off into the supermarket like a twat. 2 minutes later, Janet drove her car into the car park. Janet was a sleep-deprived single mother of 6-month-old triplets, and she really needed a parent and child space, not because it was nearer to the shop, just so that it provided some extra width for her to manoeuvre the buggy and her 3 babies out of the car. Seeing that there was no parent and child spaces left, Janet opted for a regular space. A regular space right next to a badly parked bright red car. And that bright red car belonged to, you guessed it, Tarquin! Janet was really struggling to get her babies out of the car without interfering with the red car next to her. But as she was grabbing one of her babies, the baby kicked his legs and knocked her door ever so slightly into the red car next to it, causing a teeny tiny scratch. Janet was horrified and she immediately started to write a note to leave for the red car owner, because she was an honest and decent human being. But before she could finish the note, Tarquin reappeared from the supermarket, saw the scratch on his car and went absolutely bananas at Janet. Because of Tarquin's aggressive and unnecessary outburst at poor little Janet, Janet accidentally let go of the very heavy buggy she'd been holding and it crashed straight into Tarquin's car. Oh no! Tarquin's head was about to explode, but before he could launch into another expletive-ridden tirade, one of Janet's little babies, who'd been struggling with terrible reflux all morning, managed to heave an entire gutful of semi-digested, rancid milk all over Tarquin's very expensive Ralph Lauren sweater. By now, a sizable crowd was developing and everybody was staring at Tarquin. As he tried to find his keys to escape this ever more embarrassing incident, one of Janet's other babies somehow managed to muster the energy to speak her very first words. "What a wanker!" she gurgled, and everybody laughed. Everybody, that is, except Tarquin. He drove home and went on to live a very long, unhappy and lonely life, riddled with erectile dysfunction. Good night.